this is how to have an effective breakdown. Now, how often should breakdowns happen?
Every night.
Every night. How often?
Every night.
So not every day?
Wait, what?
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I said, okay, I won't make jokes, so don't forget. Okay, yes, breakdown should be done every single day. Okay, the way I've always brought it to him is day one, I'm telling them. Day one, I'm telling my person, hey, you know how regular companies, they do quarterly breakdowns? Or they do semi-annually breakdowns? Right, because if you don't know, in corporate world, they do quarterly breakdowns or they do semi-annually breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Cool. So I'm like, hey, well, we're cramming 24 months down into just 6. So instead of doing quarterly, we do them daily.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there's a lot shorter. That way we can give you exact feedback on what to do every single day. That way you're never doing the same thing twice. That's wrong. When we could have fixed it the night of. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That is the way I've always presented it, and nobody has ever backlashed me on that. They're like, some people who are students were like, cool, what do I have to do for a breakdown? And I build up this breakdown. Right, I build up this breakdown and I give them a scenario. Right, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna walk you through exactly why it's so important to submit it right. Okay, because I'm gonna have you track today, and I'm telling these people like usually on break. I'm like, hey guys, you're with me on day one, I'm gonna have you track. The reason why tracking is so important is because that breakdown that I was telling you about in the morning, okay, if you track it right, I can help you go ahead and connect with people that you need to talk to. Because if you're over here saying you have 78 doors, 26 talk tos, 2 phones, and 0 closes, 0 sales, right? I'm gonna tell you, okay, your gap is from your talk to your phones, go talk to XYZ person. But if you track wrong, I'm not gonna be able to give you that feedback. So just make sure you track right, because your breakdowns are really, really important, because they got me into my leadership. And doing my breakdown every single day with my mentor, right, really helped me understand why every single day I should be going ahead and evaluating how my day was conducted. And then boom. Should anybody have any questions after that?
No.
No? What did I talk about for me? How did I relate to them?
The tracker.
Tracker, okay, cool.
Your coach, your mentor.
My mentor. I did breakdowns with my mentor every single day. Bro, you will never catch me missing a breakdown. Because what I'm telling myself is, hey, I'm gonna do the exact same thing that didn't work for me tomorrow too. Can we agree that's what not doing a breakdown is?
Yeah.
Right, is I'm gonna do the exact same thing that did not work for me. Dave, did all your team do breakdowns last night? Every single one of them? Okay. Now, this is the way I do it. Now, I'm gonna leave this up to level 2s to change if you want. Level 1s, you have to do what your upline does. Okay? And level 1s, if your upline's Alexis, do it the way she wants. Okay, y'all should also be calling Alexis, not just because she's an owner now, y'all should still be calling. Okay? And level 2s, y'all can change it if y'all like. I give y'all that ability. The way I've always done it, that made my team the strongest, was that they would have to submit a paper with their breakdown with 5 steps and then call me for 5 minutes. I had a big team, guys. I had a team of 14, 16 people. And in an hour, I would break them all down. Okay? In an hour, I would break them down because they all sent me the pages. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm calling you in 5 minutes. I'm calling you in 5 minutes. I'm calling you in 5 minutes. And in that time, it wasn't rushed. It was like, hey, walk me through your day. Right? And I already looked through their paper, so I know exactly where I want the actual conversation to go. I know where I want, and if it's a downline and they're an entry level, this is their second day, I'm calling Leslie, who was in her car, and be like, hey, any feedback for her? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, she's good, but she was just double pitching, and she was just kind of like over talking me at the door. So in my breakdown, I'm gonna go to Isis and be like, hey, right, great job on those talk tos. Were those all yours, or were they yours and Leslie's? And then I want her to be like, well, they're kind of mixed up. I'm like, walk me through that. They're like, well, we're kind of both talking to the customer. I'm like, hey, double pitching is terrible. This is why. And I know that's the one point I wanted to talk about in that breakdown.
So, you did your first gens and your second gens breakdown.
I did my whole entire thing.
So
what I would do is, if I had a second gen, right? Let's say you're my first gen.
Yeah.
I promoted you. You hired ISIS, right? I'm calling you. You put yourself on mute. I'm adding you to the call. We're 3-waying it, right? I break you down. You hang up, and I talk to Gabe and do his breakdown. So this is the way I always did it. Right? This is the way I always did it. This is the order I would do it, and then I'm going to talk about the psychology of it. Right? I would do newest. Well, first, I'll conduct the breakdown. my goal, I promise you, my goal was how can I be lazy the fastest? How do I qualify to buy back my time, right? So I wanted somebody to be able to do breakdowns as good, as efficient, and as precise as me. So the only way to do that is for them to hear me for at least a day, like 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks straight. So I would do newest to oldest. Right now, and I would tell my leaders, I'm like, hey, you're level 2, congrats. Now you eat last. Right, so with eating last, and I had 2 level 2s on my crew before I got promoted. Okay? And I was like, hey, you eat last, so now you gotta teach you how to be, like, your goal is to beat me. Good thing is you get to see me when I'm already seeing a lot of success. So I'm gonna teach you how to do everything right and how to do nothing wrong. Right? So I'm calling my level 2's downline first. Right? Like whoever had their orientation date the closest, that's how I do it. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Right, so if I'm looking at the roll call right now, let's say if the whole team is my crew, right? I'm calling what's her name first? Let's see. I'm calling A first. I'm calling Samantha. Then I'm calling Ayana, and then I'm calling Darian. Right, and before I call Darian, I'm calling Gabe to go ahead to be on a 3-way call, so he can hear the way I break down Darian. I'm like, hey, did you hear that? Did you hear where I wanted the conversation to go? And he's like, yeah. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I'm like, yeah, this is the way I did it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like my level 2's breakdowns is not his breakdown anymore. It's about his team. Right? It's never about himself anymore. Right? Unless he had a super shitty day, I'm there, right, saying like, hey, great job. Keep it pushing. How fast can you get your team doing this else too?
So is it good to say that you're getting, like, instead of teaching your team how to, like, level 2s, your level 2s how to break down their day? Since they should master that already, then you're teaching them how to duplicate that?
Yeah, so at level 2, what you should be doing is being good at self-diagnosing. You should be able to self-diagnose your own day. Right? As an owner, I don't call Richard and break him down. I'm like, hey, I really lost my attitude today during orientation. No, like, Richard's like, bro, you're an owner. Come on now, right? And I appreciate that. So I have to be able to self-diagnose myself. At level 2, I want you to start having that skill. We want to have that skill as a level 2 to be able to self-diagnose it because we want to become self-sufficient. Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So in order to do that, you just got to recognize all different types of days. And that's why I love y'all including me in y'all's breakdowns. I look at every single one of y'all's breakdowns. Just because I don't respond doesn't mean I'm not looking at it. Okay? And y'all see me. Whose breakdowns have I replied to before? I've never replied to yours. I've replied to yours before. Whose breakdowns do I love? So there's one breakdowns love. Actually, I wish I could read yours. I have to call Alexis and be like, hey, what does it say? Every time. Right. Okay, cool. Well, with that being said, my main goal is I'm like, okay.
Sebby's are pretty good.
Sebby's, that's what I like.
Sebby's are fire.
Yes, that's who I was going to talk about. Sebby's are always spot on. Like, you should read what they submit before you call them. Because he's so smart that he knows his problem already. And I'm like, hey, you said this, why did you, and if that's the case, I'm just coming to how he got to that conclusion. I'm like, hey, great job. All right, great job. Sometimes, if they've had a great day, maybe they're longer. Maybe they're longer breakdowns. Right, my goal is I need every negative to come out to me. I need to create that establishment where if they sound off, like a booker's like, yeah, it was a good day, and I'm just, and I'm like, hey, talk to me, come on now. Like, what's going on? Like, forget the breakdown, talk to me. Right, me saying forget the breakdown is like, hey, I'm your friend right now, talk to me. And then she's gonna let all negatives out. Right, but I want to call no matter what between me and my downline. I want them to be the last professional voice I hear before they go to their outside influence. Right? So there's 2 steps. That's a little bit of the preamble, okay? First step. Is a submission. I consider this like an admission ticket. This is your ticket to qualify to get on the call with me. If you don't submit your ticket, don't call me. Right? And that's not being a jerk, right? And this is I have abundance now, right? If you have one person on your downline, you're hounding that person. If they have not been here in 2 weeks, for 2 weeks or longer, you should be seeking out your mentoree. When they're in leadership, your mentoree should be seeking out your mentor a lot more. Can we agree?
Mm-hmm.
I seek out Richard a lot more than he seeks me out. Okay, but at first, he'd have to be like, Danny, why didn't you submit territory? Danny, you forgot these cells yesterday. Danny, you did this, you did that, you did. And I'll be like, I'm so sorry, right? And then now when he started coaching from abundance, I'm like, hey, hold on, Richard, where are you going? All right, take me with you, right? And I would seek him out more. Same thing goes for breakdowns, right? You should seek out your mentoree, and then your mentoree should seek out you. If you duplicate yourself enough, it happens naturally. Watch out. Okay. Who called it? Yeah, no, 5G. Also, Sebi. If someone comes in looking for Sebi, let me know. I'll do a second round first. If someone comes in like matching Sebi. Cool. Alright, tell us they'll be there in 5 minutes. On matches. Huh?
Like I said, looking for 7. Looking for something to relate to.
Alright, first step is submission. Okay, the 5 steps. Right, there's 5 steps to the first one. What? First one is what?
Short story.
Summary. Short story of the day. Okay, I want them to put into writing how they think their day went. What I would love to see included is how much they're at for the week, what their goal is, and what their mentality was in the field and any obstacles they did, and how they overcame them.
Can you actually like write that down? Because for the summary of mine, it's like, you know, like yeah, where you are for the week, but also like what you focused on and what you worked on.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like this
So,
is completely
I'm
different.
gonna summarize it to current, goal, okay, and then events, and then reaction. That's really what I like in the summary of the day. Cool? 2 is what?
LOA.
LOA. 3?
Versus what you learn from the field.
Say it again.
What you learn from the field.
Yeah, the positives and the negatives of it. Okay? Alright, so 3, 4, and then 5 is yeah. So 3 and 4 is this chart right here. Okay? Changes on what you want to see happen in the field, and then positives of the day. That's the way I always like to teach our meet. Some people haven't been doing this. Okay, this is my personal opinion, the way I like it. Okay? This is the way I always have my team do it.
What was 3 again? I don't understand.
3 and 4 is changes in the day, and 4 is positives of the day.
The
So-
changes?
Yeah, so delta, that's delta.
Yeah, but like you said, changes in the day.
Like, hey, I did so that LOA that I just broke down actually hit LOA, so hit 100, actually hit more than 100 doors, right? Get to 40 talkers. Resource out every 10 doors would be a change that you're making for the next day.
So like a work on.
Oh.
A work on,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. 3 and 4 are together with work-ons and the
work ons and positives, and I have the
okay.
work ons first because I want them to end on a positive note.
Okay.
There should be more positives than work ons. Okay, so I usually always do 3 positives, 2 work ons. Okay. 5th is game plan for the next day. This is all I like always to be seen. The thing is, guys, is before I forget this thought, I don't want to forget it. These things that I run for y'all, like on the fly, you should be using these as one-on-ones. Right? Like I'm starting to create a structure where it's like first through 8 weeks, what each one-on-one should be about. First one is 4 core pillars. Second is a break even. Third is how to complete an actual breakdown. Right. 4th is it should be where they're in leadership, so it should be 8 steps to 8 steps to owning the partnership. 5th should be going over the roadmap. 6th should be how to do a team breakdown. Right. 7th should, and then the first 8 weeks, where if they're on pace, they should be pushing level 2 after these 8 weeks of straight one-on-ones. Right? Would y'all like a little outline of that?
Yes.
Cool, great.
Oh, singles.
Oh, you say yes? Okay, cool. 5 for a game plan of the next day. Right? I always do these in 30-minute increments. Y'all have seen my breakdowns, right?
No.
I've never seen my breakdowns.
I haven't.
I've seen, you've seen them,
Yeah, when I first started, you showed me.
right? Yeah, okay, cool. What's up?
So because of the fact that at first when I first started, we were having a lot of creative people being really sales focused. So like me and Kat got together and we restructured ours. And I'm just asking if it's okay because I know you just tell us this to make money. Because really just put us in your position, not just to make money. But like my 3 and 4 is 3 is really what you learn from the field, and 4 is how you can apply that to your day to day, and then 5 is your game plan for the next day.
So instead of change, you put what learned.
Yeah.
So learn, and then how we're gonna apply.
Yeah, how can you apply that to your day?
How to apply. Okay.
I just want to.
Bro, you're level 2. You can connect your team the way I want.
Okay.
You want like if it's working, it's working.
Okay.
Right? When I say positive of the field, it's like, hey, kept my edge. Hey, it's like stuff like that.
Okay.
Or like, hey, I overcame this obstacle. Right? Like, oh, I found out how to, like, for us, like that one day, it was been like, hey, I taught the nation how to overcome this address change. Right? Like, it's pretty fucking cool. Right? So it's like when you're level 2, you're gonna find out where your team needs to be shifted. Right? This is like right now. This is gonna be like, hey, I want you to focus on the field because we're struggling at it right now. Right? Like your business is always changing. Right? But you got to see this. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. Second step. Okay. Second step is the call. The call should. I promise you, there's nothing that productive happens over 12 minutes. Nothing productive happens over 12 minutes. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. This is what's gonna be in the content of the call.
That's a sale.
Huh?
That's a sale. 12 minutes. That's a sale.
What's that? Right. So max 12 minutes is the call. The content, right? You want to go over this. Now you should be looking at like the preparation for your breakdown. I don't think anybody here has a bigger team than 5 people. Okay, so it should take an hour still to break down your team, right? Because when you can break people down, it's gonna be an hour no matter what. Whether you have 5 or you have 15 people, right? When you have 15 people, you've just gotten good at diagnosing it faster. Okay, so leaders should always have an hour designated for a team that's 3 or more that's bigger for breaking down the team. Okay, and what should go into the preparation is looking at this and looking for red flags. And you can find the biggest red flags in the summary, the LOA, and in the game plan for the day.
Is it okay for us to ask them like what the field actually taught them? Like what they could do from the field?
Yeah, so the thing is like back here is when my team was struggling in sales. So if y'all want to switch this out, this is the only thing I would change. If you're gonna change anything, that's the only thing I would change, is what Gabe's saying. Instead of what you're gonna change in the field and what you liked in the field, be like, hey, what did the field teach you and how are you gonna apply that the next day?
Okay.
You can change that. If your team's really sales focused, I would go with that structure, hands down.
Because I do both. I do like what to work on, like because it could be like field, office, personal for that one.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
It's kind of like wherever, and then like after that, then I focus on like the field and stuff like that.
Great building leaders, I trust you. You're conducting it, good job. Okay, right, in the content of that call, right, I'm wanting to bring out I want to hear them speak first. Okay, they always should speak first. They should lead the conversation. They're like, hey, how'd your day go? And you want to measure where their attitude is. Next thing is you want to lean or support where needed. Now you either want to lean on them, like put some pressure on them, or you want to support them depending on how their attitude was. If someone had a bad day, bro, I'm not gonna rip into them. Okay, my goal isn't to pour salt on the wound, right? My goal is either to provide emotional relief or to provide more structure when someone's on a high, right? When someone's had to come in, like Zenaria yesterday, I would have been like, hey, you did 6, great job, but that was with my help. How fast can you start doing 6 on your own? Like, I would have leaned on her because she got us such a great day. Somebody who did a 0 yesterday, I would be like, hey, right? And some of those days are normal. Okay, they happen sometimes. Our goal is to make them few and far between. So what are we gonna do as a team together? What kind of mentor do you need me to be to make sure that these 0 days happen few and far between? Right, and those are the 2 different calls I have. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. Next thing, right? Lean and support where needed. This is the biggest part of it. Every single time I broke someone down, I would end with, hey, don't forget to tell blank hi. If I was breaking down Brienne, I'd be like, hey, you got someone qualified, great job, let's fill your cup. I know you're on a high, but fill your cup because that can't happen as a leader. Make sure you're producing for yourself, right? What kind of mentor do you need me to be? Cool, you can resource out with me every 10 doors. Sounds awesome. Hey, do me a favor, tell Stephanie and Flora I said hi. Have a great night. Done. Right? So Brienne's immediately gonna go do what?
Danny says hi.
Right? Like she does not feel lectured whatsoever. Because I ended the day still caring about her personal life more than her business. Sometimes that's all it takes to get someone out of a slump. Right? This is the number one problem I see leaders have. They think every time they need some big old grand solution. Sometimes the simplicity is in the answer itself, is in the question itself. Sometimes people just need a hug. I've seen it where someone just needs to be like, bro, like Ebony's the perfect success story. Right? Like Ebony was struggling in a slump for the first month. And I'm like, Ebony, bro, I believe in you. It's time to start winning. She's like, what, Danny, you believe in me? And like, I remember the car that got her to ownership. Like, you remember I told you every owner has a conversation? The convo me and her had, I was sitting on my trunk outside the old building, back on Barrett Road, right? And I sat with her and I said, hey, she said, Danny, after hearing that sentence, you know who you remind me of? My brother. And I was like, you connected me with a family member, you're getting to ownership. She's like, what? I'm like, you're getting ownership. And that from that moment on, she was focused in. I remember the meal that me and AB had, that she realized like this is what an owner's lifestyle is. It was like 2 p.m. and I took her out for sushi downtown in Raleigh. And she was like, holy shit, this is what my life could be. And after that, AB and me are like big brother, little sister. And I know when stuff goes south, she's coming to me. Right? And I've seen those conversations happen. Some of them happen few and far, like some of them happen early on, some of them happen later on. And sometimes you don't even recognize them until you're an owner. And you usually find it out when you're a mastermind. You're like, wow, that one conversation changed my life. This one conversation on your breakdown could be the one that changes their lives. Imagine if you're the one conversation that gets them the ownership. Okay, so we need to take these a little more seriously. We need to put a little bit more emphasis on the intentionality behind it, but the intentionality behind it rather than just the action. So many of y'all do a breakdown to say breakdown completed. Not enough of y'all do be like, hey, all my breakdowns are completed. Right? All my downlines breakdowns have been done, submitted. Great job, team. Super proud of y'all. Thank y'all. Like, when's the last time y'all thanked those people for having a breakdown? Good job. Okay? Right, like thank you for taking time out of your day when you shouldn't have to talk to me. I really value that. I will get you I will make sure I personally get you to where you want to be. Wherever that's fit. Okay, if we do these at the end of the day, you're gonna see people coming in earlier, a lot more energetic, ready to go, fired up. It's kind of crazy that some of y'all don't even ask me to sit on y'all's breakdowns. I'm like, oh, they think they know it. right? No level 1, unless told personally by their uplines, should be conducting breakdowns solo. And if you're level 1, if you're anything lower than a mastermind, you should always be conducting a breakdown. Agreed?
Agreed.
If you're not doing your breakdowns, we will find out. Okay, and not by your words, but by the results. So let's start doing these. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
All right, breakdown 3. 1, 2, 3.
Break.